Good morning, everyone. If not, why? If not, why? Well, we'll unfold that in just a moment. We're starting our Advent season. It's very important that we lay a good foundation so that we can progress along the opportunities that are there throughout these next 4 weeks. Let's do a little review, though, first. So a couple of weeks, we heard a very similar reading today. We heard from Luke. A few weeks ago, we heard from Mark. And it was that orientation towards the end times. And we put it this way. We had given a piece of paper, and we were to look at it. And what would it say? It's the number. Well, what number is that? It's the number of days that we have left. The number of days that we have to live this life. So we are not guaranteed tomorrow. We have today. Now, it's important that we don't continually focus on this, but for a few weeks throughout the year, or a number of weeks throughout the year, the very genius of the ebb and flow of our liturgy, it's good to do that periodically. It's a catalyst for motivation within our hearts because we want to love, we want to give, but sometimes we lack that motivation. Really, it comes from the Lord and His grace, but that grace can be initiated and really cooperated with when we stop and we look at that number. It's whatever number, we don't know what it is. But just thinking about it can give us that motivation. What a gift today is. Let's use it. Now, last week we celebrated Christ the King. Two major depictions of Jesus as Christ the King. So either like this or like this. So we talked about these two, thinking of the hands. He's got the whole world in His hands. So let's think about that. I hope you did throughout this week. One hand, He's holding the world. He will bring light to any darkness that we have. Because He's got the whole world. He's got your problems and difficulties and my problems and difficulties in His hands. And we all have them. So He will bring light to any of our darkness. He will bring life to any experience of death in this world and in the next. So it's important to meditate on Christ the King as He holds the whole world in His hands. In the other hand, He's blessing. He's reaching out to you and me. Because the reality is that I have to admit, Lord Jesus, not every part of my heart have I surrendered to your kingship. It's good to be honest with ourselves in those moments. What area have you not surrendered to the Lord? What area have I not surrendered? It's a good moment to be transparent and to be honest. Again, it's never a shaming experience. Shame we can experience as a heaviness. This is always an opportunity and a self-honesty, a transparency before ourselves and the Lord. So Christ the King, He reaches into our hearts, encouraging us to take that step of growth. Now today, well, if not, why? If not, why? What are we talking about there? Well, let's look at the season that we're in. It's hopeful anticipation. It's really important that we get those two words in our heads. And so when I point to this group, I want you to say hopeful. All right, 1, 2, 3. Wow, that is the most hopeful experience I've had here in the last couple of days I've had. So this is the third Mass. You are by far the best. All right? Okay? All right, let's try it again. Hope. You bring hope to my heart. All right, so now this group is anticipation. again. I don't know what's happened, but the 11 o'clock group is stepping forward. All right, so let's try it again. We'll go back and forth. You guys can get into this, all right? You're included into this group here, all right? So again. Hopeful anticipation is what this season is about, and we'll cycle through. We'll go closer and closer. Well, hopeful anticipation of what? Hopeful anticipation of what? Well, it kind of changes. The first couple of weeks, we're going to look at the hopeful anticipation of you and me coming face to face with Jesus himself. Now, the second part will be, it's a hopeful anticipation of celebrating once again Christ actually coming into the world, his incarnation, the life that he brings. But right now, these first couple of weeks, this hopeful anticipation is thinking about meeting Christ face to face. Have you done that? Is that a natural response for you and for me to think about meeting Jesus face to face? And if not, why? I mean, what if he really did show up? What if he knocked on your door tonight and you're like, you look through the window, I was like, oh my gosh, oh my God, it's Jesus. And it's like, it's Jesus. Get the Bible. Get the crucifix. Where is it? I don't know where it is. I got it. It's the Bible. Here it is. Well, maybe we're not thinking about meeting him face to face because, I mean, seriously, you think about being with the person that you have a real, palpable relationship with, somebody that you talk to on a deep level. And when you do, you look forward to meeting them and to being with them. Now, we do that in a profound way in our prayer. We certainly do it in the Eucharist and experiencing the embrace. But isn't there a part of our heart that yearns to see him face to face? Ultimately, that's the beatific vision, right? You know, I remember the first time I heard that, and I've said this over and over again, but it's important for us to remember the church teaches that the primary joy of heaven is communion with God. The secondary element of heaven, the secondary element of our happiness there is the communion of the saints that will be known and will know. But our primary joy is to be in the vision of God. I remember hearing that and I was thinking, boy, that kind of sounds boring. For all eternity, I'm going to look at God. But then I kind of put it in the context of that experience of falling in love. So think about the experience, an intense experience of being in love with someone. And in the intensity of that, one of the things that you love to do is to stare into the eyes of your beloved and to see them staring back at you. Now, the joy that you experience there, the communion that you experience there, multiply that in an infinite fashion. That is heaven, to look into the eyes of love itself. So it's Christ that we have hopeful anticipation of coming into his very presence. What can keep us from that? If we don't think about it, well, why? Why not? If not, why? Well, maybe we don't want to think about meeting Him face to face because we have something on our heart that we need to confess. We're going to have our penance service this Wednesday at 7 p.m. right here. A great opportunity. I'm sure there'll be a priest or two that you'll never see again. All right? That's your opportunity there. Okay? Really to open ourselves and to be completely, it's hard to run up to somebody and to look them face in the face when you know that you have to open your heart and address some issues between you first. In fact, not only will we not think about that, but we'll put it away. I don't want to think about meeting Him face to face right now because there's some things in my life that I got to take care of first. And maybe it's just the busyness of daily life, as we heard in the reading. And really, that can apply to our own loved ones who really want to see us, who want to see us face to face. But we're busy, right? We're busy. We'll get to it. I always love that song, "Cats in the Cradle" by Harry Chapin. Oh, I'll get to it someday. Oh, I'm going to be like him. And it just never happens because we don't make the time to be face to face. So whatever that would be, certainly a sincere prayer or something that has to be worked out in between us, whatever it is, this season is set forward for us for hopeful anticipation of meeting God face to face. Well, if we haven't thought about that, if it naturally doesn't come up, if not, then why?